So later in his life, Tesla was no longer working with electricity. Tesla had advanced to a type of energy, stellar energy, scalar energy, what he called radiant energy, that really served to set him apart from any other inventor.
Intergalactic beings of multi-dimensional realities. Welcome to Channeling.
And we're just connecting and we're inviting that synergy in so that we can freaking light the world, just like you said, with what we're doing today. So I'm inviting my guides in. Anyone who is not familiar with my channel, I'm pretty liberal. I'm pretty much open and say everything. I talk with my guides. I talk through my guides. I talk about channeling. And that's one reason why I was really interested in pulling you in, Tom, talking about scalar light. And you talk about really this light is available everywhere, but what you're just simply doing is channeling it.
Yes.
Right? And so I was really wanting to talk today about what that process was for you to come to discover how to channel it and the benefits of it. So I'm kind of just jumping in right off the bat, turning some time over to you because I have some other questions later, but I wanted you to just talk about you and your story for a minute.
Okay, thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
My story begins as a youngster. I was intrigued with science, and the man that intrigued me the most was Nikola Tesla, the great scientist. And at a young age, I started to study the work of Tesla, and I was convinced that Tesla, later in his life, had the ability to capture the energy of the sun, the energy of the stars. So later in his life, Tesla was no longer working with electricity. Tesla had advanced to a type of energy, stellar energy, scalar energy, what he called radiant energy, that really served to set him apart from any other inventor. Because very few inventors have ever been able to understand that there's another force field of energy, and only a few have been able to engineer instruments to control that type of energy. So Tesla checks off all the boxes. So I decided I wanted to follow in the footsteps of Tesla and pursue this course of free energy. So without distinction, without any equivocation, I am working with scalar energy instruments in which the energy is produced by the sun and the stars. I do not produce the energy, I harness it.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? It's free energy for mankind.
Yeah. You know, that's exciting to me. And like at a gut level, I'm like, of course, that's true. It makes sense. You know, us as humans, we try to, we're trying to make a product and say that this is limited. But the further we step into the truth, the energy is already here.
Yes.
It's just how do we harness it and how do we share it in a way that is supportive of people rather than separating and causing a lot of these classes that we are experiencing right now. So I love that you have that foresight. Of course you do, because you've spent your life working on this, right? And I just love that you have that foresight. I wanted to jump in because there was something that I was curious about when I first saw information about you and about scalar energy. And I was curious as to, okay, this energy is available. And the first thing I thought was, okay, what does it feel like? What does this energy feel like? And me being a true, true open person like I am, I'm just like open people, of course, call me all kinds of names. She's a psychic, she's this, she's that, whatever. I was like, if I go to his website, I'm going to feel that energy. And lo and behold, I went there and I was like, boom. It was amazing. And every time I've sent a letter and received one from you, I've felt that energy too. And my curiosity, I'm guess, is that you have your photo in the machine at all times, that you
Yes.
are having this energy running through you at all times.
Yes.
And we'll talk about what that process is to come in contact with this energy. But first, I was curious as to what your experience has been with that. I'm sure you, throughout the years, maybe you've had it in there for a while, but do you still distinguish when you aren't in that system, when you aren't connected, and when you are?
Yeah. I cannot, because I always want to treat myself. Right now, I am under 6 different programs. I have 6 different scalar energy programs that I'm working with. And I'm in the instruments around the clock. So there's 6 different scalar energy instruments that treat me around the clock. I believe in what I'm doing. I practice in what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give the audience a bird's eye view. This is the scalar energy laboratory, part of the laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
This is a scalar energy instrument that I'm pointing to. And if you'll notice, there's no moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a motor. It's not a turbine. You don't need to move anything. The kinetic energies from the stars.
Wow.
Okay, the kinetic energies from the stars. This is a free energy instrument. I'll demonstrate that this energy is so strong, it's propagating out of those Tesla coils. If we
Yeah.
look at the energy, it would look like that.
Mm-hmm.
Scalar energies, it forms a double helix. It's a spiral. And
Yes.
in configuration, it's a spiral. Okay? Now, to demonstrate that the energy is so strong, it'll illuminate a light bulb in my hand.
Yes. Now, if all the listeners out here, he's pulled out a blue light bulb and he's just held it back a little bit, and suddenly it is now active and lit.
So that's an example of free energy. Now, obviously, the light bulb illuminated under the influence of scalar without the need of electrical wiring.
Mm-hmm. And really, what we're doing is I'm trying to come up with the term, it's passive energy, right? That's the term you use.
Yes.
And when passive energy is available, is it basically you just get to provide something that's receptive to be able to be activated by it? Is that what
Let's
occurred?
see. If scalar energy is from the sun and the stars, it is omnipresent, because all the stars of the universe are broadcasting or sharing this energy. We live in a sea of scalar energy. We just don't realize that. The universe is filled with this energy. And whether you're in my laboratory, you go outside on a hike in nature, or you're in your bedroom, this energy permeates everything. Nothing can stop the energy. Mm-hmm. Sadly, academia today only considers one energy, the electromagnetic energy field, which is false. There's 2 energies: electromagnetic energy, scalar energy. And Tesla, the genius that he was able to work with both energies.
That's amazing. But, and I'm sure working with scalar energy, there's some great advantages.
Yes.
That happen while doing that. Can you explain a few of those advantages?
Yeah, let's explain. When I'm working with this instrument, it does not have any frequency, so there's no adverse frequency, and you cannot be harmed. It's not a chemical interface. It's information. If you will, it's intelligence. This has no protons or neutrons or electrons. It's non-physical. So as non-physical energy, you cannot have a physical drawback. Now, sometimes if you're around high voltage or electrical current, that has a deleterious side effect. Some people say that if they're before their computer all day long, that has a harmful effect upon them.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's electrons. Why? There's a certain frequencies that are harmful to human health. Scalar energy does not have any frequency. Scalar energy is not electricity. You cannot be harmed by intelligence. So it's safe.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think that's beautiful because, like, when I think about, the electrical energy systems, I think of magnetism, I think of polarity, and we all know working with magnets that they're going to have an effect. They're interacting in a certain way with the system. So I think that's beautiful. Continue on with what you're saying. I'm getting excited and more excited as you speak because I'm associating this to channeling and what I do and why the energy that I work with is it responds in the way it does. Why it's powerful, why it's consistent, why it isn't draining, why it doesn't play with my system in the polarities like energy might, other energy might. So I'm pulling this in. Whoever's listening, whoever does channeling, whoever steps into this energy and knows how to direct it within their system as a channel, this is what's happening. This is why it doesn't pull you down. This is why it doesn't take away energy from your system because it's constant.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So point number 2, if this energy is from the sun and the stars, you're never going to run out of scalar energy.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at an oil field, it's limited. If you look at wind farms have to rely upon wind and they need maintenance. You do not maintain the sun and the stars. And the sun and the stars are unlimited in energy. So this is going to be the answer for our energy crisis.
Yeah, I truly believe it. I truly believe it. This is so magnificent. And I'm excited, too, for you to talk just simply about how you're using this to benefit people in their health, too.
Yeah. Okay, so how do we use this to benefit people in their health? When I'm working with people, I don't work with people in the flesh. It's not a biological process. Remember, this is quantum energy. Some people might call it force field. Some people might call it 0-point energy. When I work with people, I work with them by way of a photograph because their photograph has an energy field, a force field. So I never work with a person in the flesh. I work with their energy field on a photograph. Yeah. Well, this can only be explained by scalar physics. You cannot achieve this with electromagnetic physics. You can only achieve this with scalar physics with the scalar energy instrument. People will email me their photograph and I actually place it inside the instrument.
Yes.
Now, once my photograph or anybody's photograph is inside the instrument, that individual is experiencing this type of energy permeate their aura, their force field. So if I can light up a light bulb, then I could light up a person, their aura.
Exactly.
Okay. So this has nothing to do with Western medicine. It's a new way of looking at health, looking at the blueprint of health. I work at the level of blueprints, of the cause, of intelligence. I do not work at the chemical level. And it's so much easier to work at the blueprint level as a cause than it is at the effect.
Okay. When you talk about this, I'm thinking back in the days of me. I'm sounding old right now. Back in my younger days, when I was exposed to what's called radionics machines. Are you familiar with radionics?
I am.
And you've probably had a lot of people try to compare a lot of different things with what you're doing, and I can tell they're very different. But at the same time, I remember taking when one of my children was born, they had just a tremendous amount of allergies, and going and getting that tested and trying to come up with what I could eat in order for them to be able to handle, like, what food they were having. And I thought to myself, well, isn't there a way, though, if we had identified what the issue was, that we could energetically somehow treat us as well?
Yes.
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 So, yeah.
So the new approach to wellness is not with people. That's passé. The new approach is to their energy field that is found on a photograph. Now, why do I use photographs? It's clean, it's simple. You don't have to travel to my laboratory. And the energy field of a photograph can be accessed.
Yeah.
So much easier. For instance, we're having this conversation by way of a computer. I would have had to get on a plane, fly to you, and visit you in your studio to have a one-on-one interview.
Consultation.
Well,
yeah.
Exactly. I don't do that. We're having this interview by way of the airwaves. We're having this communication through our computer. So if we can have a communication through our computer, I see your image, you see my image,
Yes.
then people, by way of analogy, will send their photograph, their image, and I can communicate with their photograph.
Yeah.
There's so much benefit because the photograph is obviously not a person. It's their energy field. I do not connect at the physical level. I connect at the informational level.
Mhm.
Okay, now I don't want to connect at the physical level. That's not my specialty. That's not my expertise. My expertise is connecting at the level of cause or the level of information. And it's so much easier to work at the informational level than it is at the chemical level.
Yeah. See, that's interesting, and I'm feeling into these different levels as they open up. You know, the information level, the chemical level, the body systems, perhaps the different organs, as it expands and becomes a full human form, I guess you could say, with the physical body and, you know, all of that happening. And I think this is really, really interesting. You talking about, yes, how we can connect here. And you've talked about the signature of a photograph. It's kind of like people having different phone numbers. You know, my number is blah, 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 blah. And there being some kind of a signature that we can read that way with each other. Yeah, I think that's great.
If you had your cell phone, I could call you. Now, that is your signal. Very good.
Yeah.
And a person's signal is likewise found, signature is found on a photograph.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage your audience, if you're not having great success with chemicals, why not try information? It's an entirely different science. We're not at the level of wellness, of chemical wellness, of medical science. I'm not a medical professional. I'm a scalar energy researcher working at the non-physical level.
Yeah, I think that's amazing too. And because of my audience, we're used to working at non-physical, right?
Yes.
I mean, we get to believe in that if we're going to do what we're going to do. If we're going to connect with an individual who's passed on, or connect with, you know, our guides, or connect with that alien or extraterrestrial that we think exists, or whatever, however we're doing that, we, I think this kind of technology should be like, yeah, this makes sense. This absolutely makes sense. And, you know, in 10, 20 years, 30 years, hopefully everyone will be like, yeah, this makes sense. We understand this. We get this. This is possible. And we can start at this information level, at this really subtle information level of light that can inform, that can clarify, that naturally helps bring us into balance. Because that's what I felt, and I did feel that when I came into contact with the scalar light. And you talk about that when you talk about the balancing of the chakras. So go ahead and explain that process to me.
Yeah. I'm going to hold up an image of the chakras. Many of us have this mental image. Look at that. There are 7 aligned chakras. A lot of people think there's 7 major chakras. So for this conversation, let's consider that there's 7 main chakras. Well, look at them. They spin.
Yeah.
Okay. And scalar energy spins.
Yeah.
So this spinning vortex of scalar energy is responsible for the spinning of these vortices.
Mm-hmm.
What am I getting at?
The rotation and the movement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This energy, scalar energy, spins. It's responsible. It creates our chakras and it maintains them. It maintains their spin.
Yeah.
Our chakras are composed of scalar energy. So the best way to access your chakras is with scalar energy, not with electricity.
Yeah.
Okay? It stands to reason. And when I work with people with their photograph, they tell me that their chakras are aligned, that they're much happier. Why? It's automatic. That's the nature of scalar energy, to seek out its scalar energy counterpart, the chakras, the brain waves, and to balance them.
Wow. I love how you just explained that, because that's the system that it gets to run through. And it's directly down the center of the body, these main chakras that we experience. And if any of you who are listening have listened into some of my meditations, there's one called Pillar of Light. And I basically talk about these rotating energies and the movement and the pillar of light that we are when we're connected in to it. And this is exactly the feeling of this scalar energy. And so it's so fabulous. I'm like, oh my God, it's the pillar of light.
That's it. It's the pillar of light.
It's the staff. It's the staff that, all these medicine, what's the medicine symbol? That, that has this, it's all based on it. It's the staff. Yeah. And so it's so cool to be able to see someone recognizing, ooh, what is that really? Rather than what the medical, associations now claim it is, or how they relate to medicine and health. Because our health begins at the core. It begins at the core, and then it expands into the expression of the material world. And so that's what we're dealing with scalar light. That's why I'm getting so excited, right? Because of
right. You now you bring it together. What some might say are disparate thoughts. They're not.
Yeah.
It's the cycle of life. It's the beam of light. It's the pure energy from God. Scalar is divine energy. Who could create the sun and the stars? God. Where does scalar energy come from? The sun and the stars. Who can create this energy and maintain it in the sun and the stars? It has to have a divine character.
Yeah. And it is the essence of divine energy. That's what it is. And you being able to find a way to actually harness and channel it towards a purpose. I think that's what's so cool. And me just sitting in this idea of being a channel, that I am that channel, that I can be that channel, is really powerful for anyone out there who wants a good meditation. That's a great thing to sit with. But if you want to really feel it, I suggest you try the 15-day trial that Tom is going to give to us. I'm jumping the gun and telling everyone that they can get in on it, because you will feel it dramatically if you sign up and you're connected to it. You'll be like, oh, this is it. This is what this power is. This is what scalar light is. This is what me coming into alignment in my chakras and my center and my system really feels like. Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thank you. What else do you do? I know this is the chakra alignment is one thing that you do. I want you to explain, what else you do when someone signs up and someone gets in and connects into that scalar energy.
Yeah. There's so much we can instruct this energy to do. Mm-hmm. Again, I work with a person's photograph. If I place inside the instrument two photographs, a photograph of a germ, Epstein-Barr virus, and my photograph, there's an automatic communication. There's an automatic connection between my energy, my photograph, and Epstein-Barr. So what am I getting at? Everything, every disease, every pathogen has a signal, a signature.
Yes.
If I had the Epstein-Barr signature in my quantum field, it's a signature, it's intelligence. All disease begins as a signature. If I had the non-physical intelligence of Epstein-Barr in my photograph, this instrument would find the signal, the signature of Epstein-Barr, and reduce it to a state of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who ever comes to me and they say, Tom, I might have Epstein-Barr, by this process of taking a photograph of Epstein-Barr, I can identify Epstein-Barr as a signature in me, and the instrument will eradicate it. Will bring it to a state of chaos all the time.
I love that. Usually the state of chaos, when I hear that, I think chaos bad, chaos bad. But really, what does that chaos mean? Does it just mean that it can't really fully form in the molecular identity that it once was?
Yeah, I think we'll define the term transmutation, which is peculiar to the scalar energy physics, the scalar energy realm, in which you can take one object and reduce it to a state of chaos. So I believe Epstein-Barr is reduced into elements such as carbon and oxygen.
Gotcha.
It's no longer an organized system. We've reduced it to a state of chaos. We probably have reduced it either back to elements or back to ether. Okay.
Gotcha.
Now,
Ooh, that's juicy. Back to ether.
Can I prove that? I can't prove it, but I have test results from people that are subjective, but they prove that people feel better.
Yeah.
This is a test result from somebody who sent me their photograph. After I worked with this individual, they had a follow-up Epstein-Barr test, a PCR test conducted.
Yeah.
And the PCR test shows no viral load.
That's right.
And the individual feels great. Now, can you explain that by Newtonian science? No, it's not Newtonian science. Can you explain this result by way of Western medicine? No. Western medicine does not work with people by way of their force field. So this requires a new understanding of science, of scalar science. This is not traditional, conventional Newtonian physics.
Mm-hmm. That's exciting to me. And one thing, my mind goes to the idea of will we eventually be able to identify things like like psychological, like the idea of ADHD or depression or other things. Like, can we energetically identify those and really kind of program those in, just like you showed, maybe a bacteria or a germ or a disease?
Yes, thank you. Everything begins with a signature,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's something favorable in life or unfavorable. For instance, if you have a virus, once again, there has to be some type of organization. There has to be some type of intelligence that creates and maintains the Epstein-Barr virus.
Mm-hmm.
What am I saying? A scalar energy instrument will interrupt the intelligence.
Yeah.
Now, I'll give the audience an analogy. Some of you are computer programmers. You're programming your computer with intelligence. It's programming, it's information. And as long as your program is perfect, the result and the execution of your work will be perfect, flawless. So that's an example of how an information system can be utilized to produce a favorable result. Well, I have an information system behind me, and if I disrupt the information system of Epstein-Barr, the objective, the execution is what I want. The elimination or the eradication or the negation of the Epstein-Barr virus. So those of you who are computer programmers, you program computers. This energy allows me, scalar energy, allows me to program viruses.
Yeah. I love that. I'm just thinking about the expansiveness of the possibilities here. It's just beautiful. I know also that you can almost program in nutrients. Is that right? Is that another thing that you do?
Yes. Now, I always use photographs when I'm working. Why? A photograph is a source of light. Energy, light never lies. Pantothenic acid, vitamin B5. If I wanted the energy of B5, I would take a photograph of B5, place it in my instrument side by side my photograph.
Mm-hmm.
That's a magnified shot of B5.
Mm-hmm.
And I receive the download of energy of vitamin B5.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how I receive my nutrients. Energetic nutrients, not chemical nutrients.
Yeah.
I don't swallow a pill. I receive my nutrients from energy in my force field. So in other words, it's impossible to receive a chemical through scalar energy because our work is always non-physical. A chemical is physical.
Yeah, you know what's coming to my mind is so many times there are many yogis and other people who most would claim these people are enlightened, these people have a different take on the world than we do, who oftentimes they'll sit and they have very little nutrition that they're taking in, but they still have a vitality, a vitalness to them. I'm not recommending this to everyone, okay? Right. I'm not recommending people go without nutrition, but I feel like I know what the truth of that is. There have been times when I feel like I'm being given nutrition energetically that sustains me, and people are like, why aren't you tired? And I'm like, I feel alive, and so I can definitely agree that can happen.
Absolutely. And this calls to mind why some people have different caloric intake, why some people have different requirements for nutritional support. Some people probably process vitamins from the atmosphere, from the sun and the stars, to a greater extent, and are much more efficient than those people who have dietary problems or problems with their weight or problems with metabolism. Why? Because all disease, including what I would call gastrointestinal disease, begins as a signal, as energy. Energy dictates nature. Scalar energy dictates nature.
That's exciting. Okay. So around this, we talked about the signature. And so could we really find the signature of what could be identified as depression or something like that? How would you go about doing that? Because you like photos.
Yeah, I would suggest that in the future we'll advance this. And my predecessor, researchers by the name of Hieronymus, were finding depression signatures on people because they can find a common signal, a common signature on people who are depressed.
Okay.
So, but by, if you will, the common denominator is finding people who are depressed and finding a specific signature that will at least allude to or at least point to corroborate some type of depression. Now, this is a new science, and the drawback is very few people in the world have advanced as I have. So I have to wait for other researchers to get on board and to start pursuing scalar energy research.
Yeah. Now that makes sense. I mean, the more people ask these kinds of questions, the more hopefully someone will be out there and say, I know how to figure that one out, or I know how to test it in this area. Because, just like DNA sequencing, how they do tests to try and identify what strands go where, the same kind of tests need to happen for the expansion of it to occur. But I love what you're doing, and I think it's amazing that you're out there just sharing it and trying to have people experience for themselves what it is for themselves. There's a couple of things that I wanted to bring up. Part of it is I'm just feeling a lot of gratitude. And if anyone's here feeling gratitude, feel it. There's a statement that I like to use, and there's a process that I use. It's called In My World. And I wanted to do that really quickly with you because I have a feeling you have some great answers. And basically, really, it's a process where you hone in on the quality that you desire, and you see it in your world fully expressed. And if you could hold that energy of that scalar light, and you could look out into your world and see it fully expressed, what would you say your world is? Like you saying, in my world, what would that feel like? What would that look like to you?
One of my lifelong goals is to introduce scalar energy to the world, that it is, if you will, within the fabric of society. Everybody's enjoying this energy, not just a researcher in a laboratory, in a private lab. So I want the world to benefit from this. If I can light up one light bulb, I should be able to light up a city. I want to introduce free energy to mankind. Free energy will address scarcity. Any economic model has to deal with scarcity. There's no scarcity with the stars. You'll never run out of scalar energy. So the fact that we'll have unlimited energy, then we can do what we want to do in life without limitation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that. And, and I'm trying to imagine, what does that look like? That means people getting up in the morning and being able to have electricity in their house.
Yes.
Does it mean, it means cars can run through electricity, right? It means, things that probably we can't imagine right now, because the energy and the source of the energy doesn't affect people the way the kind of energy we're using today does, right?
Thank you. And this is the world that I envision, a world where everybody benefits, not just the people at the top.
Mm-hmm.
A world in which we will be liberated by this technology. Scalar technology will liberate mankind.
Yeah, I love that. Beautiful. There was a few things when I was looking into scalar energy that I was super excited about, because it really honed in this idea of what channeling is and what our body is and our brain. And I saw a video, and there was amazing statement that I loved, and it said, our brain, information is not stored in our brain.
Right.
Our brain is an interface creating a connection to a higher dimension.
Yep.
And I so love that, because that's how I look at my brain. Is like, instead of us thinking, oh, the power of the brain is let's think and figure out things, but it's actually a receptive tool, a way to communicate, to connect to, and to receive. That's kind of how I see it. But
Yes.
is there something in your studies that's really brought that home to you, that's made that so evident that it's, undeniable?
Brain waves are scalar waves.
Mm-hmm.
How do we receive intelligence from scalar energy? How is thought possible from a scalar wave? How is creativity possible from a scalar wave? Intelligence is delivered to us by scalar energy. Whether it's our mind, our brain, or our heart, our emotions, our brain waves, our heartbeat is all governed by scalar energy. Mm. We are scalar energy beings. And when you realize that the brain is just an interface, that's absolutely correct. The brain is not the seat of power, so to speak. The brain receives the information from God. God transmits scalar energy, and in so doing, he delivers intelligence upon that energy. Mm-hmm. So if somebody is specifically akin to, say, creativity, somebody's very creative, it's because they have that ability from God, and that information, that divine afflatus is coming by way of scalar energy. Make no mistake about it, brain waves are scalar waves. And the reason we can think or be creative or deduce or to add or multiply or to dream or to fathom is because we have brain waves, which are scalar waves.
That's the quote. Do. No, I love that. Because to me, that's just like, that's it. When we recognize that, then so much opens to us. So many more possibilities open to us. We see ourselves differently. And I think then we can open up to kind of the larger sense of what we are, in connection. You call it God, some people call it universe, whatever we want to call it. I call it the depths of what we are, because we are so much more than what we think we are. But we can't separate ourselves. We can't separate our brain from scalar energy and think that we could function. Though there's no way that could happen. It's like just like that light bulb, you need that energy source. In order for it to move, you need something coming in with the knowledge that sheds the light for people. That's a beautiful way of looking at it, I think.
Thank you.
That's so cool. So yeah, I love the idea of the receptivity, and really the idea that the electromagnetic field created our brain waves. Brain makes created by our brain makes all cells in our body resonate. And so we're resonating through this whole system. This whole system is made for us to resonate and made for us to be able to run this energy through our system. So I thought that was beautiful, beautifully said. I loved how you shared that. Before we just leave, I wanted you to just make your offering plain and simple and great. And of course, before we leave too, I wanted to make sure everyone knows that if you're interested in what I do and the meditations and everything else, all that fun stuff, that there will be a link for free meditation. So when you're getting your beautiful scalar light treatment, you can sit in a joyous meditation if you like. So go ahead and tell us, how we can take advantage of this beautiful energy and use it for our advantage.
Sure. Thanks, Gwen. My website is scalarlight.com, SCALAR, scalarlight.com. Now, the website allows anybody in the world to sign up for free sessions, for 15 days of free sessions. Again, you email us your photograph, and with your family's permission, you can send their photograph. Please include your pets. For 15 days, we're going to balance your chakras. We're going to identify and eliminate microbes, germs. And then we round off the daily sessions by imparting nutrients. This is our 15-day free session. Scalarlight.com. Anybody in the world is entitled. Share it on social media if you'd like.
I love that. And I love how you invited people to send pictures of their pets, because these pets are family members. These pets are dear to people's hearts. And I think that's so beautiful. I'm definitely going to take advantage of it. I know people I'm going to send your way. I'm really excited. And partially because I already have felt what that energy feels like. But it's going to be interesting because once I sign up, I'm going to compare to see what I felt and what it feels like when I'm hooked in. This is going to be cool for me. Okay, all you people who are mediums and who are extra sensitive to energy, it's an experiment. Okay, so you can do what I did too. If you're a medium or you're really sensitive, go and check out his website, see what you feel the energy is, and then sign up and see if you feel a difference or if it confirms what you feel. This is going to be fun for a lot of people.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I thank you so much for being here with me today, Tom. It's interesting to have kind of a more masculine energy that's very factually oriented in a very feminine, kind of expressive podcast, and just feeling that difference, but feeling how we can support each other and where we connect and where we link. And so I think this is another testament that different energies, though they can come together in connection and truth and really support each other. And I love that. So I'm going to send a blessing to you, Tom. My guys are sending a blessing to you. Much abundance and, gratitude and expansion in what you're doing. The more people learn about this, the more people are interested, the more they'll want to experiment, the more they'll be in support. And blessings for all you're doing for the health of people around the world, because I've heard of people and how they're affected, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So thank you so much, Tom. And hopefully I'll be seeing you soon, and I'll get plugged in. Oh, it sounds like I'm getting plugged in the matrix. You guys, don't take it too seriously. Come on. Well, we are in a matrix. It's of our own making, and we might as well embrace it. So if that's the case, we might as well get the most love and energy we possibly can out of it, right? Sending love to everyone. And this is the end of this episode of Welcome to Channeling. I always end with a phrase, and the phrase is, own your stage and play on. Thanks everyone for watching. Click the link below to receive your very own free soul play meditation, reboot, or soul song. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Welcome to Channeling. Till the next episode, own your stage and play on.
Muffin Media.